the volatility in the market right now makes me nervous to IPO, to be honest. Like, I think it would be nice to IPO when it's a little bit more like sound, and right now it doesn't feel really sound out there. So I just like, preferably, like, there's a couple of very practical elements. We have issued stock to all of our employees. We have 4,000 people. At some point of time, people are going to look to be able to make that liquid, to be able to, you know, buy a new apartment, to do some this. So there's other things that eventually probably will put us there. But I don't, as much as I'm sure it's really cool to stand there and ring the bell and like, wow, 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 you know, whatever. Like, it's not something that, and I'm sure it's going to be a cool experience if we do it one day, but it's not like my goal. I don't want to go to the market and exit. That's not the purpose. I want to do this for a long period of time. I want to be part, hopefully, of transforming this industry into something better. That's what I'm hoping to achieve. And, you know, time will tell if we accomplish it or not, but that's what I would like to do. So the IPO thing is, to me, just going to be maybe a cool milestone someday, like, you know, one thing on the path, but it's not a target. As much as journalists always wants to ask me the question, when is it going to happen? I understand the interest. The other thing that I think is interesting with it, though, is I would love for retail investors that believe in us and like what we do to be able to participate in the value creation that we hopefully have. So that would be cool. That would be a nice thing, because currently we only have private investors and not, you know, which are more funds or whatever, but seldom kind of a retail investor can't really buy.
So are we still talking about 2021 or 2022, though, as a time frame?
We have actually, so I've got that question so many times, and I get misinterpreted so many times. So the only thing that I've said is, like, it's more likely to happen soon than it was a few years ago, but we have no immediate plans. We're not preparing an IPO or anything like that.
As you visualize that potential down the track, though, is it London that you see a potential listing?
It's a good question. I get a lot of that here in London.
And at London Tech Week.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's some things that I really like. I mean, I like a lot of things about London, apart from commuting in London. But with that said, I feel that, like, there seems to be a higher let me give you the pros and cons very quickly. So the pros for London, to me, seems that there seems to be a higher acceptance for not only focusing on quarterly reporting. I feel this is the stock market in the world that is more accepting to the idea of 6 months, 12 months. And that just, to me, goes very aligned with what I want to keep as a culture in Klarna. I don't want us to focus on quarterly earnings. I want us to focus on the long term. There needs to be a balance, because you can't just be like long term forever. There needs to be, obviously, a sound business model and some discipline around your what you're doing. But I like that. I like the fact that now UK is, you know, a neutral place in the world. You know, here's EU, here's the US, all the other kind of stuff. And I like the amount of expertise, and I like the quality of the regulators here and all that. That's very positive. I feel maybe just on the downside is still, like, is there enough investors here in the local market that understand these type of companies and that are willing to look at them slightly differently than the more traditional view? Because I do think some of that is necessary. I don't think that what happened to Deliveroo is entirely fair. I think there was some aspects of that where it was misunderstood, and I think maybe it would have fared better in the US as a consequence of that. So I think that, like, that's the only thing that makes me slightly nervous.